Do you have one of these old run chicken units that just has batteries and you're thinking about upgrading to the solar, but you don't want to pay almost full price for the new motor unit? Well, you can convert these to solar power. It's not that hard, using these little solar panels, and I will show you exactly how to do that. So this is an old unit of mine that had gone bad, and I used it as my prototype to figure out how to lay out this stuff in here. This is a Sanyima solar panel. It's 3 volts. I bought a 10-pack because they're super cheap, and it fits just right on there. And all it is, it basically runs straight into where I've soldered it onto the battery terminals on this side. That's where the wiring goes in. This is a 3-volt solar panel, and this will never put out more power than you need. It won't burn out any of the stuff in there. It just doesn't make that much power, so you don't need a charge controller or anything like that. You can just run it straight to the batteries. And I've got in here 2 EBL, these are nickel metal hydride batteries from Amazon. Nickel metal hydride batteries do discharge on their own over time, so if you keep it in the dark, yeah, obviously these are going to discharge, but the goal is, the sunshine, whatever hits the panel, will be enough to counteract that and keep them topped up, because the unit itself doesn't use that much power. The challenge I had was trying to place this. It would be better if it was closer to the batteries, but you can't block this little light sensor here with the panel. And this is just hot glued on there all the way around, so it forms a seal that keeps the water out. And it comes in, I drilled a little hole right there. Make sure you keep it clear of this motor box to run the wires in. Hot glued it in 2 places there to kind of keep it tidy. And then I soldered it to the battery contacts on the inside of the case. I'll show you how to do all this. Now these little solar panels, I've already gone and soldered these wires on. It's better to put them on the inside rather than the outside. And you could, they give you 2 places to put it. One thing I'm going to have to do is they've already put in pre-solder points on the edges here, and I'd rather minimize the chance of that contacting the outside of the case and conducting, so I'm going to use a solder remover to melt those down and pull off those little beads. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Now this is the good unit, and I have yet to convert it. So first, I can see there's a little rust on these contacts, so I'm going to take a file and clean those up. This is kind of a pain. Now you can see inside here that the battery wires run to this end. Also, these are separated, so you know that that's where the the positive and the negative. So the spring is the negative, this nipple thing is the positive. So when you wire this, you want the positive to go to the positive and the negative to go to the negative on the solar panel. That way they're in parallel, and you won't have a a through current that would possibly drain or harm the battery. Plus, you'd get over voltage then. So you want parallel, common voltage, and yeah. So we're going to put some soldering flux on these 2 to get the solder to stick, and then we'll add a couple beads of solder to each one so the wire can go in. Alright, so To prep this, I just washed it so it's nice and clean, got all the dust off of it. I drilled the little hole, and this has this, you can see this little notch here. So long as you're outside of that notch, you should be clear of the motor. You just have to drill a hole big enough for your wires to get through. And now we will prep the battery terminals with a little bit of soldering flux, which you need, because if you don't, the solder will not stick to this. So all you need is a little bit. Just get it on there. And then we will prep this by putting a bead of solder on each one. This may be hard to see. You don't need a ton, you just need enough for the wire to stick. Now we will strip the ends of the solar panel and prep the ends with a little bit of solder also. So I just dip these in the flux. And then we just melt a little bit of solder into the end. Oh. Close enough. Now we want to just put a little piece of electrical tape on or over these ends here, so if it does make contact in the back, it won't conduct. Alright, I believe the glue gun is heated up enough so we can do this. So there we go. Most important part is to, ow, shit, that's hot. Most important part is to get the top totally closed in. There we go. And we can always go in and seal that more if we have to, but looking through on the side, it looks pretty good. Looks like it's made contact everywhere. So I'm gonna pull all these little stringies off of here. Make sure that's clean. Wipe that extra crud off of there. Alright, looks good. Alright, So just feed these through the hole. And then we'll solder these to the battery terminals. Alright, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. We just want to melt this solder together so the wire stays on the battery terminal there. That's good. And then this one, oh, come on. Come on, stay. There we go. Oh. All right, let me add just a little bit more on that one. Yeah, it looks good. All right, they're pretty secure. And now we just want to tidy up these wires. So here we're going to bend these guys back a little bit, and it's always better to have too much wire than not enough. So this is, I believe this is called a maintenance loop in electrician speak. So there's extra here, you know, just because this stuff does expand and contract in the heat and the cold. So if there's more there, less likely to break. So we put a gob of hot glue there to hold that on. Jeez, I'm making a mess. Alright, and then we want another there. I should hold it. Let's put another one there. All right. Now once again, it's very important that positive goes to positive and negative goes to negative. And when you're setting up your solar panel, also double check, make sure positive positive, negative negative. So this one's good to go. So we can put the batteries in it. And then that's ready to go outside. Now here's another little tip with these things. Sometimes the batteries are pretty loose, so they shake around a little, and if you bump the actual door on the chicken house, the batteries will jiggle, and you know the connection will kind of get lost and reset. So if you put a little bit of electrical tape around one of the batteries just so it fits a little tighter in there, that way, you know, they don't jiggle around normally. Like in this one, these are just a plain battery. You can see that they, you know, they move a little freely. Just a little wrap electrical tape. These guys are in there nice and solid. They won't move around. What's up, Earl? Come here, buddy. I got your new door. So here's the thing you can do if you need to wedge this open while you're working during the day. Just cram a zip tie in there. It'll keep the door open. Alright, so here it is installed. Works just like normal, as it should. And alright. I'll set it to open now, so it's closed in the morning when I come out, and I can reset the timer. And it's all good to go. Here's another cool thing. If you put reflective tape up here, when the door is shut, you won't be able to see it, but if the door stays open at night, you can shine a flashlight on here and it'll show up from a long way away. Thank you for watching. I'm trying to grow my channel, so please like, comment, subscribe, standard issue, do the thing. Thanks.